everybody, this is Nicky Jameson and I'm here to do a little demo of putting together one of my creative pieces. There wasn't any rhyme or reason for this particular piece, but I wanted to do some setup just ahead of time and just turn all my layers off, because when I am doing this work on without recording it, I usually take a lot longer to search for things and match things up and so on, and that can actually extend the video. It's a lot of fun and it's part of my process to do it, but I prefer actually talking about the piece than the process, but just to show you, because people have said would I do more and show them stuff, I have just done a little bit of setup. So behind all the setup, I've just randomly selected what I call papers. This is how I would typically bring in a background. You can typically fill a background, it doesn't have to be white. White is really quite intimidating, so I always seek to fill it or change it as soon as possible, and I do that by bringing in a range of papers. And I have an entire library full of textures and papers that I use from different designers, and what I like to do is to try and change the blend modes, and you'll see that the blend modes actually deal with the light underneath, with the layer, but what the layer underneath them. And under this layer I haven't really got a lot here. I have another layer, very textured layer here, which when I put my cursor on it and seek to change it, it will actually add quite dramatic interest. So overlay is a really good blend mode, really does some lovely things, but it all depends on the colors in your work. And I love texture. I really do like texture in my work. So I would start off with a concept, an idea, but it doesn't necessarily remain that way. But just to save time, I've picked a photo. I picked a couple of photos that I thought I might use. One of them is this, which is the gherkin, but more interestingly, it's the church here, which I used to think was St. Mary Axe, because the gherkin is actually at 30 St. Mary Axe, but this is the Church of Undershaft, actually, rather than St. Mary's Axe. And I found that after doing some digging into the history. So I love this building, and it's got some blue in it, and I'm always doing paintings of it or photos of it or blending photos of it. Don't like this ugly thing here, so blending photos is really a good way to just preserve some of the photo and get rid of the parts that you don't like. So that's that option. The other option, which is a little bit more obscure, except for the white van here, well, there's always a white van it seems, is this particular building, which is just behind St. Paul's. So I like to go off the beaten track quite a bit, even though I do a lot of work with very familiar landmarks in London. Of course, all my work is around London. This is actually the youth hostel now, but it used to be used by the choristers of St. Paul's, and this is just down I think this is called Paternoster Avenue. I'm not sure what it's called now, but you can see the Latin here on the walls here, and I love this building. It's I've got lots of photographs of it, and I thought that this might be one to use just as an example, because I'm going to show it doing a clipping mask. Up this road here, beyond this van, if you walked right up the road here, you will come up right in front of St. Paul's Cathedral, and if you're lucky, if you do it on a Sunday or on the hour, you would actually hear the bells as well, the church bells ringing, which is pretty cool. So I think I might start with this picture, so we'll ignore this one for now. I might pull this layer down. This is a layer that I've actually added. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but it did add some very interesting effects to the picture, which got me quite excited. So I'm going to turn that one off for now. Let's see what we end up with. So you'll see that I also have, you may not see it here, I also have what's called a clipping mask. This is actually a mask, and what I will use is a clipping mask to clip this photo to the mask, and that will just eliminate a lot of the stuff around the photo. So all this road I don't really need, and this side. It's just an interesting way to blend photos. It also get rid of some of these hard edges. So I don't really, there are different ways of getting rid of hard edges. There are different ways of treating photos. I would typically do more of a treatment than just use the plain photo, but for the sake of the video, I am just going to, wow, it's lightning outside. I'm just going to go with this. So to use the clipping mask function, I'm going to do layer. I'm not going to use my shortcuts this time. I'm just going to create clipping mask. If I do create clipping mask, you'll see that it has considerably changed my photo. And if I want to change that a little bit, just do Control T on my clipping mask, I can make my mask, pressing Shift, a little bit bigger to show a bit more of the building. Okay, on the corner here. I can move the clipping mask around. I don't want that white van, that I know. But I can, the key thing is that the mask, the photo should be bigger than the mask, or larger than the mask, because if not, then you get hard edges of the photo. This is quite, I chose this mask quite deliberately because it is vertical as opposed to horizontal. I can actually change the blend mode of the clipping mask and get quite a lot of interesting effects. If I go down the blend mode, I can get, I can use linear light or pin light, and it's just really experimentation to see what comes out. I'm actually going to leave this on vivid light, linear light, I'm not sure. I like quite a few of those ones there. Overlay kind of obscures it. I actually kind of like that sketchy one. I think I'm going to leave it on linear light for now. I will always play around with this a lot more. If I wanted to, I could duplicate this, and I can duplicate this this picture by just dragging down to the plus sign here, and that duplicates it, and then I can set that top picture again on a completely different blend mode. I might use screen, or I might use lighter color. Overlay will make it fairly dramatic, so I can set it on overlay for now, but then what I can do is just decrease the opacity so it's a little less dramatic. So I think I'll decrease the opacity to about 30, just over 30%, and then I can use my brush to paint in or paint out as I wish. The cursor you've seen is turned to a brush. So I'm not going to, I would typically maybe treat this with a watercolor treatment, but I'm not going to do that today. So other things I would do is to bring in other elements. This background is quite nice and painterly, kind of random and abstract painting, so I kind of like that. And this particular, if I was to click off that, you'll see that we get something even more interesting. So I can turn this opacity down a wee bit just to let that come through a bit, and then I get something with even more interest there. Kind of liking that. So I changed my blend mode to a mask to linear light. I can also play around with my photos. One is on overlay, one is on normal. The clipped one is generally on normal. I'm going to delete this picture because I don't think I'm going to use it. And I'm going to see what happens if we add this picture. So we can get something really interesting here. There's something that I was playing around with. I kind of like that, which would have gone with the blue one actually. And if I don't like to have too much of this, I could do several things. I can turn down the opacity a little bit, and I can also add a mask and mask off some of these things. So by adding the mask, I just click the mask function here. I'm taking my tablet and my paintbrush. I can, I'm making sure that I have black paint. I can actually just mask off. So this kind of reveals a little bit more. Okay, just, in fact, I'd like to cover up the road markings here, so I'm not sure. And it's kind of nice just to have a little bit of painterly stuff over, painterly strokes over the building, right? Because it's a building, but so I just dab. Let's make the sign a little bit clearer. Just dab lightly over it. And if I want to paint that back in, I just press X, which gives me white paint, and it will put that right back in. So I'm going to go back to X. What I also can do, and what I probably will do, is add in some other things like flowers and some elements, which I will use to just to add some more interest to this. So I'm just going to pause my video now, open my other elements, and see what we can do. Okay, here we are again, and I'm just going to finish off this piece. I'm really kind of liking this. What I thought I would do is bring in some multimedia, and to do that I'm going to just use a PSD folder. I have several multimedia pieces here. I can use it in PNG format or PSD. I think I actually might try this one. And to do that, I'm going to drag this to my Photoshop canvas, and drop it on my canvas. And what that should have done is drop it here, and I don't think it actually did that because I do not see it at the top. So let's try that again. Let's try it there. Okay. So to do that, I floated my canvas here, and if we go here, we can see that this PSD is in several layers, right? That's what the PSD format is. Rather than it being in a single layer, it's in several layers. And I want to move that onto this canvas just to show you an example of what this would look like. So this is my original canvas. This is my second canvas. So I'm going to click on the bottom layer, click on the top layer, press my move tool, which is actually, or shortcut, which is V, and pressing my mouse button, I'm going to drag that onto my canvas. Okay, and what it's done, it's put it on top, which is actually fine for now. So I'm back on my main canvas. I can close that out, and I have all my elements here. What I am going to do, it's still highlighted at the moment, so I think I'm going to do, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to do group from layers, and I'm going to call this flower. I'm going to call this multimedia flowers. And what color is it? Sort of beigey, doesn't really matter. But let's just call it yellow. That will help me see. Keep it yellow. That will help me see it. So if I open this now, you see the highlighting has gone off. But if I close it and I highlight it and I do Control T, because it's got the bounding box, and I press my Shift key, I can move this around and move this around my canvas. So I can put it here, put it in the corner here, or maybe, you know, give some interest here. So if I put it, I love to put things in my bottom corner. I don't know why I like doing that, but I like to sort of start off there. And I can alter the size, make it a little smaller, and put it there. And I can open it and change any of the layers or any of the elements within that multimedia piece, right? And what I will typically do, if I bring in the multimedia pieces I have now, I've got lots of options to play with any of these elements in it. If I bring it in as a single layer, which I'm just going to do in a little bit with something else, I don't have as many options. I only have the single layer. But let's see what else we can bring in here. Let's go to Multimedia 2, see what we've got. Hopefully we can bring in PNG, no, I don't know, something that sort of goes with it. So for example, what about this? Just drag it onto the canvas. This is, everything has a little bit of subtlety. I like to have the subtlety. So it's something that I can place, I don't know, maybe here, maybe behind this. Probably I would place it behind this. Makes a really interesting element at the side. And because I want it behind, I would just drag it underneath. And so it's kind of hidden behind this. We'll try for one more because I also love to do, we've got some leaves here. I want to do something basic, which if I can find it. And I love to put in splatters. I use a lot of splatters and they're PNG. So they're sort of single layer. And I just pull this one over. And I love to use splatters in several ways. They just add, I think, a little bit of joie de vivre, serendipity around things, and I can leave them as black, black paint. But I like to kind of set my splatters on a different colour. So divide sometimes. Divide is a really good one. It takes all the colours out of things. So I think I'm just going to put it, for argument's sake, let's just put it here. Shall probably move. If I'm putting it, if it's white, then it should be a little bit on something where it will show a little bit. And I can, continue drawing in splatters. I've got lots of splatters here of varying sizes. This is another one I can just pull in. I'm not really looking at it, just doing random stuff here. And it puts it in the middle, and let's just do this. So this is again very subtle. And for this, I'm just going to change it from this color. I could leave it as, put it on divide, but I'm going to change it. I'm going to do edit fill. I can do several things to this one, but I'm going to do edit fill, rasterize the layer, make it a smart layer. Oh, it's already rasterized? Oh, hold on a minute. That looks like it's already rasterized. So to fill it, I have to, that looks like it's rasterized. So I'm going to do edit. Oh, that's very interesting. You never can be too sure that you're, you have everything you want here. Oops, and that's not letting me do that. Okay, so if I do that, let's just do layer style, color overlay. See, with the color overlay, I had red here and it's changed it to red. So I can change that color overlay to maybe take it something from the colors in the painting. Okay. This one makes it white. This one makes it, dark. Maybe this dark orange. So it's very, very, very subtle. And I think I'm going to end up probably leaving it as, I'll leave it as that blue. Do OK and OK. I wanted to use edit fill, but for some reason it wasn't rasterizing it, and that meant I couldn't fill it. But I've added an effect to it, and I can do that with any element I put in here. I can actually change that. I usually end up with putting my signature, but I have a lot more work I want to do to this, so I probably add some more elements around this. And this is typically the way I would start. Play around with hue saturation, for example. I love to use levels, but I can use hue saturation adjustment levels. Change the background. Change the color in the background a little bit. It's very, very subtle. Okay, and then I can also clip that. Let's do a right click. I can also clip this hue saturation layer to this level, to here. So I can go level, create clipping mask, and it will clip it just to this, which if I had other papers beneath it, it would be more meaningful, but it doesn't really matter because I've only got that paper at the bottom. So you can find my art at nickijamesonart.com. I hope you've enjoyed this short demo, which is reasonably short for the work I typically do. My pieces take a lot longer than this. You can probably see why, because I'd like to play around with, maybe add more photos, definitely add some more elements and give some more atmosphere to my pieces. But I hope you like this little beginning of an architectural garden. Thanks for watching. Take care.